This is a group show at Marianne Boesky Gallery in Chelsea, and it's titled In Situ, and it features 13 artists. And this is an awesome show, in my opinion, because of the range of artists that are featured. Like, you have someone that's super established, like Cecily Brown, but then you also have some newer artists, like Forrest Kirk, featured side by side. And this is one half of the exhibit. The other is actually going to be featured at their location in Aspen, Colorado. But overall, the exhibit is centered around the experiences that each of these artists have had during the pandemic. Now we're at Petzel Gallery, still in Chelsea, to see Joyce Pensato's exhibit titled Forget About It, Redux. And so right when you walk into the gallery, you're greeted by these large-scale works on paper that are made with pastels, because these are really characteristic of her practice. She was known for combining pop culture and abstract expressionism. this room features her eyeball paintings, and they're inspired by the cartoon characters such as Felix the Cat, Crazy Cat, and Sesame Street Elmo. And she really carries various emotions in these works, such as being astonished or frightened or diabolical, or pleading or paranoid or befuddled. And I think the New York Times once described Pensato really well as an artist. They basically said that she's an artist that made cartoons complicated, and I think that these paintings certainly reflect that. So in this room we have something really special, and it's actually why this exhibit is titled what it is. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot of stuff. And it is, because this is a representation of what Pensato's studio in Williamsburg looked like. She had the same space for 32 years, and in 2011, she lost it in a disagreement that she had with her landlord. So in 2012, she premiered Forget About It, the original exhibit, which featured all of these objects from her studio. And this was at Petzel Gallery's original location, which is on 22nd Street. And this exhibit kind of circulated a few different times, but Pensato passed away last year, or I guess actually 2 years ago now, in 2019. So this is a tribute to her estate by bringing this original exhibit sort of back to life. So now I've instantly transported you with me over to the East Village, to the whole gallery, to see an exhibit by two artists, Caroline Larsen and Roxanne Jackson. Larsen has created these paintings that are on the wall, and Jackson has created these vases that are in the center of the exhibit. Larsen features vases and flowers in these paintings like she has over the past few years, but in these she's really amplified their presence, creating this like psychedelic effect through this repetition. And it's also super complementary to Jackson's actual physical vases that are sitting in really close proximity. And she actually features one of Jackson's vases in one of the paintings, so she's really mirroring the surroundings. And if you're not familiar with Larsen's work, she applies paint with a pastry tube in order to get this really thick, textured effect. Can't even imagine how long that this takes to dry. Here we can really start to appreciate the details in Roxanne's vases. And when you look closer, you can see that they're honestly equal parts traditional, but also irreverent. They have this traditional white and cobalt glaze, but they have these puckered mouths. Some of them have gold grills, or their tongues sticking out. Her work is similar to another sculptor who works in ceramics, Rubineri. Both artists take a feminist, almost punk rock approach to the ceramic arts in order to disrupt it. Here we are at another East Village gallery. This is Nathalie Karg Gallery, and we're looking at another painting and sculpture female artist duo. This is an exhibit featuring paintings by Jessie Mockrin that you can see on the wall here, and sculpture by Elsa Sahal. And both artists are featuring the female body in various contexts in this show. They're redefining the female figure within art history. And both artists, in their practice, really represent femininity and power. And Jessie Mockrin is known for creating paintings that are inspired by European painting of the 17th and 18th centuries. But she edits these paintings with a really fresh perspective, that of a woman. She's inspired by works that were originally created by male artists that featured violence towards women in history, but she's not like glorifying that in these works in the same way that they were in the past. She's really making them personal by editing these scenes. As you can see here, they're pieced apart to really highlight the subject matter and make it more about like the struggle and the pain and the shame that these violent acts inflict on these women. Elsa Sahal is also really focusing on art history and is really upset, frankly, about the mistreatment of the female subjects and perspectives. And so in her works, she's also playing with femininity and power, and she plays with these gender stereotypes by calling out symbols that are typically associated with women. You see these really bright red long nails being featured, and there's even a golden vagina on the wall. Final exhibit of the day. As you can see, it's actually starting to get dark, And this is a show by Gerald Lovell at P.P.O.W. Gallery. And this is their new space in Tribeca. They actually moved over from Chelsea this year, and it's really beautiful, and I'm excited to be a little bit closer to the gallery so I can go more often. But Gerald is a great example of the importance of being a part of your local art community, and honestly how you don't necessarily have to follow this linear path of getting, for example, your Yale MFA and moving to Brooklyn to become an artist that shows in galleries. Gerald dropped out of college, and he's a self-taught artist. This is actually a self-portrait of him right here. But yeah, I definitely get that it can be frustrating, and it's not an easy thing to do by any means, breaking into the art world, but I do think that Gerald is a great example of that it's possible if you work hard enough and you're really talented, which obviously he is. I love that you can see up close this texture, and this is something that's characteristic to Gerald's work. His signature style is to utilize impasto to create these portraits, and impasto is basically just a really thick application of paint to a canvas, and Gerald does this in a very focused way on parts of the individuals that he really wants to amplify the most, so particularly their faces, their necks, their hands. He's quoted as saying that painting in 3 dimensions best conveys my narrative. The thicker the paint, the more emphasis on the object. And you really feel that when you're looking at his works. Like, I feel like he's staring at me. I feel like he's there in front of me. I love that 3-dimensional aspect of his works. It just makes it more personal. Gerald was inspired to start painting people in his community by all the photo albums that his grandmother had when he was growing up. He would look at them, and he really wanted to save these moments and memories that he had to document these deep and special moments. So not only is it important for Gerald on a personal level to preserve his memories and his community, but it's honestly important as a whole for Gerald to paint people of his community as a Black man. It's important to solidify their presence and capturing them just enjoying their lives, enjoying companionship, self-confidence, and leisure. This is powerful, and this is what makes this exhibit so powerful.